Ho ho ho, and welcome to another video here on TryHackMe. Today we are doing the Advent of Cyber day number 10. It's about phishing, so let's all get our fishing rods and start using the bait. So in this video we are learning about phishing, understanding how that works. Basically we are going to create an attack, it seems, and we're gonna get a reverse shell using that. Now understanding reverse shells is something that I'm gonna explain later on, but if you need a more in-depth understanding of all the different terms, I recommend that you go and look it up. Anyways, phishing attacks is about us sending, in most occasions, some sort of email with an attachment, and then we are opening that attachment. That could be a Word document or any other document that can use something called a macro. Now, that is just one way of doing it. There are many other ways. And the macro is a sort of programming language that is inside the Word file. And then the user will be prompted in most occasions to accept to enable the macros to execute some dynamic content in the Word files. Now, most users just click yes whenever something pops up that doesn't really make any sense. And this is where this attack becomes kind of dangerous, because if you click yes to that kind of pop-up, well, basically the macro will then execute and the phishing attack can proceed. So this is what this is all about. They're showing that in the Word document you can go in and write some macros and so on. Now, we're not going to do anything in Word in this video. So the attack plan is we're going to need to create a document with a malicious macro, start listening for incoming connections on our machine, which is also called the attacker's system, email the document and wait for the target to open it. So some sort of automated email opener that TryHackMe created to simulate that someone actually received that email, so we can actually get that connection, which is what I call the reverse shell, because we are waiting for incoming connections. So reverse shell basically just means that the attacked machine or the victim machine is trying to connect directly to our machine, and that is what reverse means, that the victim is connecting to us instead of us connecting to the victim. So the target user opens the document, that's what it says, control the target user system. This is where we're going to take control, and when you get your first connection to the victim machine, that is something we called initial foothold, because you're getting the first real connection through a terminal with command access to the victim machine. So let's go ahead and start everything up. I have a attack box started up right here, as they mentioned we should do. So I started the machine, I got the IP address, and now basically it says that on the attacker system, that is us, our machine, we are to create a document with the embedded malicious macro, listen for incoming connections. So 2 tasks. There are different ways of doing it. In this video, they are choosing to show Metasploit. And Metasploit is a big exploitation framework. It is open source, and you can write different kind of modules for it. I think it's written in something called Ruby on Rails, I think it is. And then you can write exploits directly to the Metasploit framework. Now, what we're going to do is to start Metasploit framework. So go and open up a terminal, and let's make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to zoom in once, I'm going to zoom in twice, and let's go ahead and write MSF console and press enter. Now, when you run MSF console, it will then take a while to start up, depending on the stress on the server we're using right now, because everyone is doing Advent of Cyber at this current moment. So I think we have an okay connection. It does say starting, and soon it's going to show a banner of some sort. That is the fun part of starting Metasploit. You will get an ASCII banner every time. It's going to be different kind of things like tanks and funky things. While this is running, we can take a look and check out what we're going to do here on the other side. We're going to go ahead and choose a payload. So as I talked about before, something called a reverse shell. That is actually the protocol of TCP, which is called for Transmission Control Protocol. And since it's reverse, it basically means it connects to us. So something from the victim machines trying to connect to us at the attacker machine. Okay, so the actual exploit is a office word macro. That is the type of exploit, we're gonna say it. So the difference between the payload and the exploit is, well, very different, but the payload is the methods of execution and the exploit is the exploit. So that's also a method, but it's basically just something that, you know, exploit a vulnerability on the victim machine to give us some sort of extra access or a connection of some port. Setting the L host basically means we are local. It's our host, it's our machine. And we can see that on this screen here, the attack box IP is 10.10.84.94, which is also pre-configured for me right here. Now, if it does not appear pre-configured at your screen, please note the IP address in the topmost right corner on the attack box. The local port is set to 8888. Well, that is just some port you pick. In this particular case, it is that one. Now show options is to show what more we can fill out, and exploit basically generate the exploit. In this particular case, it will generate a document and then exit to quit. That is what this all do. So let's go ahead and copy paste the things. So we're gonna set the payload. We will now set the exploit. There we go. And we will now set the local host. And now we will set the local port, which is the port we are listening on the attacker machine for incoming connections. And we will now type show options. And then we're gonna go ahead and say we filled out the necessary fields, which is marked by required yes, yes, yes. And it's the Microsoft Office Word, which is the exploit target. Let's go ahead and type exploit, press enter, and gonna wait a few seconds, and boom, it's done. And now we have the exploit. It is stored right there. Go right ahead and type exit. Following the tutorial now tells us to take a look at the image here down below. It will show the exact same thing, setting the payload, exploiting it, and eventually getting the exact same line that we have right there, and exit, and we're done. So if you can see the same thing, you did it correctly. What they talk about now is that we mentioned earlier how to create a macro within the MS Word document. You might be interested to see the content of the file by MSF console. In the screenshot below, we can see the different procedures and functions that make up this macro. So if we're gonna check out the macro right here, and you can see all the different kind of code. This is a language itself. I think it's called Visual Basic or something like that. Yeah, it's Visual Basic. And you shouldn't be able to read and understand this to complete the tutorial, but if you want to learn it, or you can already, you know, program in a programming language, then you might recognize some of the things like for as a for loop, or if as a conditional, and the else as a part of the conditionals for the else clause, and something that looks like variables and functions and stuff like that. And that is very true. This is what it is. Apart from that, it's not something we're gonna pay much attention to, because we're not trying to learn Visual Basic in this tutorial. This is just how it looks if you are curious about it. So they actually explain some of the things right there, and they explain like the 1, the 2, and number 3. So if that's what you want, you can go ahead and check it out. The comment field is shown in the screenshot below. It is close to 100,000 characters in our case. So you can go ahead and check out right here the comments field, and you're gonna see something looking this weird. And something looking this weird is most occasions space 64 encoded data, which basically is a way to make sure that all illegal characters can be interpreted or showed or transferred or saved in different kind of solutions in the particular document, place, database, or so on. So if we copy this and save it to a text file, you can convert the original executable format using base 64 as shown below, and you can notice the size of the file. And we could go ahead and do that. We can also just check it out right here. So they're converting the payload base 64 to payload.exe, which is the executable extension for Windows. Then they're showing all the details of the text file, and now that it's not in a base 64 format, but it's in an original executable format, it will be a little less in size. Now, the tutorial then states you already expect this file to connect to a specified IP address and port. If you would like to check its behavior in a sandbox, we can also go ahead and check it out on VirusTotal. And VirusTotal is a very nice website that have a collection of 30-40 different kind of virus vendors software, and it will all run at the same time whenever you upload something and create a checksum for it. So if you upload the same document again, or any one in the world upload the same document again, it will then know, because of the checksum is always unique, that the document or the file or whatever it was that was uploaded can just be looked up in database. And if it found any issues through the 40-ish different kind of virus vendor softwares, it will then show that in the report. So of course it is not a guaranteed success to use VirusTotal, but it's an extra thing, an extra layer on the onion layered security model whenever you are creating security. So we're gonna go ahead and check out the listening for incoming connections. And in this case, we can use Metasploit. So let's go ahead and open up a new terminal. I'm just gonna use this one here. I'm gonna zoom one, I'm gonna zoom twice, and I'm gonna put it down here. The other one I'm gonna take a bit up. And I'll go ahead and write MSF console. And the commands we're going to go ahead and use now is the multi-handler. It's the one you use for incoming connections. And we will go ahead and ensure that the multi-handler works with the reverse TCP. We're going to set the specified IP address of this for the attackers to be the same when creating the document, the same port, and so on. And then we're going to use exploit to start listening. Now there are ways to do that are a bit easier, but when we use Metasploit, we are getting a type of reverse shell with a lot of options and functionality attached to it, so we can do a lot more than just a bare shell, and that is usually created by something called Netcat. But today we're going to go ahead and use Metasploit. So we're going to go ahead and copy paste this. And the next line, if you want to type it and you feel like learning Metasploit, there are actually multiple rooms on TryHackMe with different kind of levels of difficulty you can go ahead and check out. And then you can learn more about Metasploit. You can also check out my channel here on YouTube. I also have a few good videos of Metasploit, so go ahead and type Security in Mind and Metasploit. And then last type exploit for the last one. So I'm gonna go ahead and type that. Now that we are exploiting We are now waiting for the incoming connection. It says starting reverse TCP handler on our IP address on this port. So whenever there is a connection incoming or someone actually opening our malicious document, we should see something popping up right there as a connection, and then we can go ahead and type commands. So it's gonna show the exact same thing there as I have right there. So let's go ahead and continue now. Email the malicious document. Now this is where we are going to send the email to Marta at SOC-mas.tmh, which is some employee working at the Christmas center we're trying to hack. And the email is right there, and the password is right there. So we need to find out how to send this email. So we're gonna go ahead and opening up a browser to this IP address. Let's go ahead and check out that. So open up Firefox, and they're gonna wait a bit. It is a heavy traffic time, so we're gonna check it out. Probably some sort of web email interface we can use. So let's log in with that email. No, not that. That. Okay, so now we need to type it, I guess. Oh, actually it was there. So click one more time, and let's sign in. Not now. So now that we are logged into the webmail, let's go ahead and click new. And we will send this email to this person right there. And the subject can be like, ho ho ho, happy Christmas. And I guess that's gonna be it. So let's read the text. So once logged in, compose an email to the target user. Don't forget to attach the document created, changing the name for something more convenient like invoice or receipt. So we can go ahead and just make this a bit smaller, the window here, and go back to the original window where we saved the document. So go ahead and copy paste the path now, go into that particular location, type ls, and there we have the .m document. Let's move it, which is the same as renaming in Linux to something like invoice.docm. And now we're gonna go ahead and press the attachment icon in the email. And it says no attachment here. Let's click the plus, attach files. And let's see where we need to go. It's about remembering the path, and that I did not. So I'm gonna copy paste the path. And we will then see if we can paste it somewhere. Under recent, no. Other locations, computer, all files. Okay, I need to press directly send. So let's put in the path here. It's called root. So home, go back to root. It says .m. Let's instead of not finding the file, let's then move it to somewhere we can actually find it. So let's say move this document to /home, and we are logged in as root. So let's put it there. And that should enable us to find it easier. So let's go to home, go one back to home, root, and the invoice is there. Open the file. And now we need to send the email. So I send it. And now we're going to go back here to the window. And hopefully I did attach the document. If I did so, we should see something like this. And as we see, it says sending stage. Meterpreter session 1 open, and this is the message we would like to see. So if I go ahead and type something like ID, for example, now, not ID, but dir, or ls, depending on which kind of system we just got a reverse shell on. Well, it was a Windows machine, of course, so I need to type dir. We can then see a lot of different files here, which basically is the file system we are browsing. So now that we have access to the administrator's, does say administrator's desktop, we need to find out what the flag.txt is. So first of all, let's see if we can find our current location with a bit more precision. So let's go cd let's do it now. Since we don't know the actual location, it does actually tell us what it is right there, so we can basically just go to this particular location here. And ls is also the command. Then we have the flag, so we can go ahead and type flag. Type is not a command, so we're not dealing with that, so go ahead and type cat. This is because I'm used to Windows commands. Type is the same as cat in Linux. So we have the flag. I'm gonna copy paste it back, and we're done with the room. So, in this video, we learned about creating an exploit, a malicious document. And actually, this is how you do it. In real life, this is also the same way it's done, because we wait for someone actually opening the document, and now we have access to the machine. It is that simple, really. So don't click weird emails, don't open attachments without you knowing exactly who they come from, what it contains. It can get you hacked. So what I want to say now is like, ho, 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 ho.